Hey, what's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC. Today we're taking a look at the Viperade VE18. This is the 5th Viperade pouch I've looked at on the channel and the largest Viperade pouch we've looked at so far. Not by a very significant margin though. This is pretty comparable in both size and organization to the Viperade VE1. And so I got the X-Pack version, which you can see a little bit better on the back side of this pouch here, but available in both polyester and X-Pack. Couple colors for each material. The X-Pack ones are around $35, whereas the polyester are $20 to $22, so you can save up to about $15 by going with that polyester version. We'll talk a little bit more about which one makes more sense a little bit at the end of the video, but for now, let's take a look at this pouch. So dimension-wise, we're looking at about 4.3 inches wide by 6 inches tall, or for our overseas folks, 11 centimeters wide by 15.5 centimeters tall. And so mentioned it was pretty comparable to the Viperade VE1. That one is also 6 inches tall, but 4.1 inches wide. So only a difference of about 0.2 inches. On this front side, we have a pretty generous section of hook and loop for patches, and we'll measure out all of these pockets once we have it empty. Only patch I threw on there was the most recent release from Inky EDC, iconic Pirates of the Caribbean scene with him running from the Inky EDC tentacles, which were added to the background. Really detailed patch, a lot more detail on it than I was expecting, and I think this is still available. I'll link to it in the description, and everything you see in this video in the description, so if you're curious about one of the items, you should be able to find it there. Now behind that we have our only exterior accessible pocket on the front side of the pouch, and this one is pretty large. You can put much larger items. I went with the Knipex 4-inch pliers, but you can definitely fit the 5-inch pliers in there as well as multi-tools, knives, that sort of thing. It's a pretty generous size pocket, which will fit a lot of options. One other thing I should have mentioned already is that I said this is the largest Viperade pouch we've looked at, but this is still a very medium-sized pouch. It will definitely fit in a back pocket, but you can see while it's still nearly fully filled out, it can get a little bit bulky. And so when I carry this in my back pocket, which is typically how I like to carry it, I don't put anything in the backside in the zipper pocket or in this pocket so that it will lay nice and flat. So once we get that empty, you'll see how nice and flat this lays. And that means that the side that's facing my body is nice and flat, don't really feel it as much. And the side that's facing out is gonna still have that bulk, which I don't mind because you don't feel that side. And so, just worth noting, I will carry this in bags and stuff as well, slings and stuff like that. And in that case, I don't mind fully loading it out and making use of both sides. But that's definitely a preference thing. I just prefer less bulky carry in my pockets. And so YKK zipper here, same thing on the one that's the more neutral pocket where it's on either our right side in this orientation or the top in this orientation. But YKK zippers on both of those, and about 5¼ inches of opening. You do have a seam on either end plus the zipper that are all about taking up about 1/4 inch each, so we get about 5¼ inches, but the pocket itself makes use of pretty much the full 4 inches by 6 inches or so. So in this one I don't have a whole lot, but I did throw the August Originals Connor in there. Fun little fixie with a really nice forest green Kydex sheath, just a tiny one that fits in there no problem whatsoever. And then a challenge coin from our buddy Geo over at Pocket Filth. Really cool design. This one glows in the dark. All the white sections glow in the dark. I got number 4 out of 50 because I was able to grab this one in person, so definitely check that out. I think that one's available as well. So all that I have in that zipper pocket, I'm gonna pull this patch off as well actually, and then we can see exactly how flat this gets. And so really nice flat carry, and it's probably shaved off about 3/4 inch by taking everything out of the back section of this or front section of this. And so much more preferred profile for me personally. Now in this center pocket, I only have one item, but this is a really versatile pocket for small items, especially again if you're carrying in a bag, not something you're going to be like sitting on or in your pocket. Really versatile because it has a contrasting color of X-Pack, that gray in here, so highly visible. Same amount of access, you can see you lose about 3/4 inch with the seams and the zipper. Same amount of access, but it opens a bit wider. So the only item I have in there is a collaboration hank between Awesome Hank Gear and Everyday Adventure Co. Definitely check out both of them. Everyday Adventure Co. does some great leather. Awesome Hank obviously does some awesome hanks. But in here you can see that contrast in color makes everything in here just a little bit more visible. Also, because this one's on top and opens a little bit wider, you have a lot more access. I can get my pretty much full hand in there, get deep into the corners, and so fishing out smaller items is a lot easier in this side pocket than it is on that front pocket. Also worth noting while we're here, they do have these 2 paracord loops that I'm not really utilizing, but those are so if you want to add a strap to this, carry it as a sling, you can. There is no strap included, so you'll have to provide your own. And like I said, I'm not really making use of that, but it is nice that it has that option. Now flipping over to the back side, this is where most of the organization is happening. And so you see 2 MOLLE webbing panels up front. These are nylon straps, not elastic, so not a lot of give to them, but they're gonna hold up a little bit better than elastic will, which can get a little bit droopy and saggy and sad after a while, especially on the exterior of pouches. We have 2 organizational pockets here, which we'll measure in a moment here, but the left one's a little bit wider, not making the best use of that overall. You can see that there's probably about an inch of space here. That's because I went with the smaller multi-tool, the SOG Power Pint, one of my favorites lately, and so can fit a full-size multi-tool here. I've put like the Leatherman bolster in there, the Skeletal, the rebar, all fit in there no problem. Same thing with this back pocket, so you can make use of that a little bit better than I was. Now on the right side, you can see this pocket's a little bit slimmer, and battery died, so weird transition there, apologize for that, but jumping right back in, this right pocket is just a little bit slimmer and you can still fit pretty full-size knives there, but you might have better luck here if you have a really large knife. I have a Surge Slip 7 there, not too big, but really fun little slip joint, modern slip joint, titanium handles, M390. Love this, did a video on this one already, but absolutely love the way Serge Panchenko does his stonewash. You can see from the titanium to the M390, the stonewash is almost identical, really seamless transition there, which really is a cool effect that lends to a very good looking knife in my opinion. Now, in the back we have 1 major pocket, which I have a couple items floating around in here. So you can see this fits a log and jotter or field notes pretty well. Dimensions on those are 3.5 inch by 5.5 inches. As it gets more and more loaded up, the notebook will push up just a little bit, but it still fits in there well. I don't find that I'm like destroying the corners or anything. It's close enough to the corner that that's really protecting the corners there. So can still fit a 3.5 inch by 5.5 inch notebook there. And obviously if you go a little bit smaller, you'll have a little bit more real estate. Now that we have everything out of the front of this, you'll see that this item's just kind of floating and rattling around. When it's fully loaded out, that's pretty snug in there. It's not going to fall out, so I don't need a pocket clip. But with this kind of empty loadout, this will just slide right out. And so have the Mr. Nice Bar from Nice Guy Machine Company in there. Just a nice straight edge pry bar, bottle opener, all of that good stuff. And then a writing instrument, I went with the County-Com mechanical pencil. I don't remember the exact name for this, but I'll make sure to get that and put that in the description as well. Really been liking this mechanical pencil lately. They give you a bunch of lead inserts for it, so you don't have to buy any anytime soon, and yeah, I like the look of it, and nice to have a pencil. Now, I don't have an eraser in here, but this pencil does not have an eraser, and so you may want to carry one separately, but either way, haven't been doing that so far. And then last item in here is the log and jotter. Again, 3.5 inch by 5.5 inch. This is an older one from April 2019, I believe. Been using this one for my November YouTube stuff, and so about to swap this out for December. But that's all of our items in here. Let's measure out some of these pockets quickly. So this front pocket with the Velcro, or the hook and loop panel on it, is about 2.5 inches wide and about 4.5 inches deep on average. You can see it's a little bit sloped, but about 4.5 inches deep or so there. On the top side, we're closing in on 5 inches. The zipper pocket already alluded to that being about 4 inches by 6 inches. You can see you lose a little bit here with this seam, and then obviously the zipper access is about 5.25 inches. Flipping over to this side, we have that MOLLE webbing. The split is about a little over 1 3/4 inch here, and then about 2 inches on this side. These are 1 inch nylon straps, and they're identical top and bottom. The back pockets, the width on the left one is about 2 1/8 inch, and the right is about 1 5/8 or so. Depth wise, we'll just kind of go in the average here. We're looking at about 3.5 inches on the left, and probably close to close to that still on the right, about 3¼ inches on average there. And so nice deep pockets. And then that last one is probably about 4½ inches or so. And so again, that'll fit a log and jotter or field notes, no problem whatsoever. Now, got the X-Pack. I really like X-Pack as a material. It's durable, it's easy to clean, it basically just wipes right off, and weather resistant, UV resistant, not weatherproof because all of these seams and stuff like that, the zippers don't fully close, and so not going to be submergible, but it should be fine in a storm is what I always say. And so it's based off sailcloth, really durable material, and a material I'm a big fan of. Now, if I were buying this again, I'd probably go with the polyester version, and that's just because of the price point. One of the things I like about Viperade a lot is the price point. It's a budget-friendly pouch. It's readily available, unlike some of like our garage built gear, or Data Crew pouches, or the notorious EDC pouch. A lot of those, you know, you have to wait for drops, and they're constantly sold out. Viperade's hardly ever sells out. Maybe a color will sell out, but they'll have other colors available, and they're nice and budget priced. They're durable. I've never had an issue with any of my Viperade pouches, but at that $35 price point, you're getting closer to those ones. It's still a little bit cheaper than the ones I've already mentioned, but in kind of the same realm as like an alpaca gear. And so if you watch the channel, you probably know I'm a big fan of alpaca gear. They pretty much exclusively use X-Pack. And so looking at an alpaca gear pouch, this is the modular phone sling, and in X-Pack as well. Price wise, we're looking at a couple dollar difference. There's a 10% coupon on Amazon right now for this. Have my 15% off coupon code on this, and we end up with a $2 or $3 difference, something like that. This one includes the strap. I don't have it on there right now, but does include a strap, and so is made to be a sling bag. They're pretty similar in size. The alpaca is a little bit bigger, and you can see, I think the alpaca just has a sleeker design. Overall, looks like a better build, feels like a better build. We have that magnetic clasp on here, our high-vis insert, or high-vis lining that's a little bit more high-vis even than that gray or pen loop. And then the mounting options are a lot more extensive. We have our straps, we can attach it to a belt, a backpack strap, into MOLLE webbing using these straps. So a lot of different mounting options. And these aren't exactly comparable pouches, you know, they're very different in terms of the use case on it, the layout on it. And so you may still prefer the Viperade pouch, but for me, I'd rather just pay $15 less, get the polyester, giving up the X-Pack, but I feel like alpaca is doing the X-Pack better. I think I can find something similar from them, and so probably would go that route if I were going to be getting an X-Pack pouch. But I do still think that Viperade has tons of really, really great designs, and the polyester has done well for me, so there's no reason I need to pay a little bit more for that. Might as well keep getting that $20, $25 price point on those, sometimes even a decent bit cheaper than that. So overall, I really like this pouch, really like the layout. It is getting to that point where it's a little bit large, where maybe I prefer it in a sling or backpack. And a lot of times in those cases, I go with something even a little bit larger, but still small enough where it can be made to work as a pocket carry for me. But would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any questions, definitely leave them down there as well. I try to answer as many as possible. I show a sample loadout so you can get an idea of what fits in each of the pockets. But if you have a specific common EDC item, I do have a lot of EDC gear and have no problem testing out if a certain item will fit in a certain pocket, obviously assuming that I have that item. But would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the notification button, all that good stuff. And I hope you have a great one. Take care.